Kayaknya ya un poco, así, boletín.
The question is, are you ready?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
Throwdown Nation, we are live. It's a Saturday. We are rolling on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter/X, Facebook, and Twitch. It is episode 191 of the Throwdown, where we celebrate the art and sport of professional wrestling with a strong focus on the indies. I'm your host, Matt, and today we are throwing down with a guy who has been on before. Ukrainian, but currently based in Spain, wrestler extraordinaire, Mr. Jake Koby. How you doing, Jake?
Hey, Matt, it's nice to be back. And yes, I am excited to talk about what's been going on in the wrestling world, in my career, in the career of my boys back in Ukraine. And yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely. And for those of you watching live, let me direct your attention to the ticker that's running on the bottom of the screen. That contains all or at least most of Jake's social media accounts along with mine. So do us a favor, if you aren't following or subscribed, please take the time and go to each of our platforms and do so. It definitely helps both of us. So, and for those of you that are watching live, if you have questions or comments, just throw them in the chat and we'll either handle them as we go or do a little Q&A at the end. So we'll go ahead and start with kind of the most obvious question, and that is, it's been around a year since you were last on. How have you been?
I've been good. Yeah. I think last time we met, I still haven't made my debut here in Spain. So But right now I am 12 matches in, which I consider pretty good for my first year here, as an outsider who just came here, who doesn't know language proper and all this stuff. So yeah, it's been a good year, I would say.
Absolutely. And they say that professional wrestling is a roller coaster. You've got the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Over the last year, what would you say has been your high point and your low point?
Oof. Okay, that's a tough question right out of the start. I would say my highest point was wrestling just anytime I got to wrestle, I was so happy because I haven't done it for a couple of years before that. And even when I did it last time, I was kind of not in my best shape. And I'm still not in my best shape, but I lost a lot of weight. I did a lot of work and I feel much more confident than I was when I stepped into the ring last time. But I think the best moment was probably my first wrestling match in Portugal. It was in the town called Braga. And just because before that I wrestled in Spain and for maybe smaller promotions, you can say, because the crowds were good, but they weren't like a lot of people in the crowd. In Portugal, there were like around 200 people, I think, around the ring, and it was a great atmosphere because people were into it. They were reacting to everything, and yeah, it was one of my favorite places to wrestle at. And it was for the company called CTW, Centro de Treinos de Wrestling, something like that. I probably made a little mistake in there, but they are really good company. I really loved working for them, and definitely one of my highlights. Um, as far as the low point goes, I would say that despite me like being proud of like wrestling here and there for a total of 12 matches, I still feel like I could have wrestled more. Um, I don't know. It's probably just me being kind of a perfectionist. Like, okay, I need to wrestle more, but when you're just starting out here and no one really knows you, it's obviously hard to just get into everyone's graces. And like not every opponent that I had knew like English well. So sometimes it was, even a language barrier, kind of a little bit. So yeah, I believe that I'm gonna need to improve my language skills this year for sure, and hopefully it will get me more bookings. But I think the actual lowest point was in Madrid, and just because the training there was so like high level that again just perfectionist in me, I was like, okay man, you have so much more to learn, so much more to figure out, that it kind of started like eating me up a little bit inside. But then my wife, she was very supportive and she was like, okay, come on, you don't need to, you did a lot this year anyways. And of course the training is high level. Like of course it's hard. And you still need to lose more weight, like to be in the shape that you were when I started. Like, you still need to regain some more confidence that I had before. And like of course, like when you see other guys who do it like regularly, even if they did it like for only like couple of years, they still like, they live in the city, they go to training each week at least once or even more, so of course they are going to do certain things better. So I shouldn't beat up myself too much. So yeah.
No, the truth is, Jake, we can all be our own worst enemy, and we can all be our own biggest critic. and
Oh yeah.
sometimes the moment comes where you just need to basically shut up and give yourself some grace. So
Yeah.
um so over this last year, with you kind of getting back into the business, who do you feel over this past year has been your greatest opponent?
I feel like my best matches were with Marco Vanderlei. He's a young guy from Portugal. He's from Porto, and he wrestles for CTW. And we crossed paths in the ring 2 times, and both of those times he really brought the best out of me. Like Marco is like a really good talent that you need to look out for. He has like a great work ethic. He he knows his stuff in the ring. He's like he's really great. I really loved working with him. And we, even though like when the first time we kind of wrestled, I didn't know what to expect. And even though he told me that his style is more like more rough than usual, like he lays his stuff in, and I wasn't expecting. But after the first chop, it was so hard. And I was like, oh my god, what have I got myself into? But when we wrestled second time, I was much more ready for that, just mentally. And I was like, okay, we can do it. And second match was even better. So yeah, it was really cool to wrestle with him. And I didn't like repeat opponents last year much. Every time it was mostly someone new. Marco, I think, was the only one whom I wrestled twice. Well, yeah, sorry, no, there were other two guys that I wrestled in tag teams before, and I feel like I have a really good chemistry with them. Their names are Kawaii Violence, and he does like this Japanese schoolgirl gimmick. He's a lot of fun.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, he has like his grasp of doing like comedy is superb. He's definitely a lot of fun. And his tag team partner, he does like this Karate Kid guy. He wrestles in the G. His name is Tiago Guerra.
Mhm.
And he's really cool. He's also like a really nice person outside the ring. I think our personalities really clicked in terms of like we're like very respectful of like each other's stuff. Like I was like, hey, do you mind if we try this or this? It wasn't like a lot of arrogance or something. Yeah, it was like very very cool to work with them. And I would love to have a singles match this year with Tiago.
Yeah, you were mentioning your opponent's chops. I've been noticing the European wrestlers really bring some amazing nasty chops to the ring. Like I've been this past year or so, I've really been keeping an eye on Gunther, or he used to be Walter. When he was wrestling over in Europe. And man, his chops are just unbelievable. By the end of so many of his matches, his opponent's chest just looks like raw hamburger.
Yeah.
So the really brutal chops seem to be a very European thing. Would you agree with that?
I guess it's like, since the 90s, a lot of styles started like borrow from each other. And I think it's just like modern tendency to just be more snug in the ring. Like I would definitely say, like, back in the day, from what I hear and from like people that I met, they always say like, yeah, everyone worked kind of easier before. But even still, like, yeah, I would say European style, especially like if you watch like old British wrestling, like at World of Sports, they were pretty snug with each other even back then. Like even like just controlling each other with their holds and strikes. They didn't do a lot of strikes, but when they did, it looked really really hard. Yeah. And Marco, he's like, it's like his trademark to do like hard chops. He even has like his merchandise, he has like a slap like mark. And and I would say that I had his like handprint on my chest for a couple of days after the matches. So yeah, he definitely brings it in.
I can only imagine. But one thing I will also say, based on your size and your style, if it were ever to happen someday, I think you and Gunther could actually have a very good match together.
Oh, I would love to. I'm sure it would be like amazing to wrestle a guy like him.
No doubt, no doubt. So, I would actually like to hear from you how the indie scene is evolving back in Ukraine. Because I just really love the fact that even though this terrible war is going on in your homeland, that the wrestlers are still able to do what they do and give the people something to enjoy and something to kind of distract themselves with. So how has the independent scene in Ukraine been going this past year? Tell us about it.
I think that Ukrainian scene right now is probably in like its golden period, to be honest. Like, despite everything that's going on in the country, the amount of wrestlers is the highest ever. The guys that wrestle are very talented. They put a lot of hard work into their stuff. And this year we brought quite a few foreign talents as well. And it's always cool to see our guys wrestle someone like from outside. Like, we had this guy from Poland, Max Speed. He wrestled at least, yeah, he came twice this year. We also had BJ Wayne from New Jersey, United States. He also flew over, and he loved his time in Ukraine. Like, we also had a couple of guys from Romania, and in Romania they have their main like coach is Future Shock Tom Fulton. I believe he is either Scottish or Canadian. I think he's Scottish, but he lives in Romania, and he started wrestling there. So he came over twice, and second time he brought a couple of his guys as well. But one of the more influential guys who came over, I think, was Jake Oman. If you know him, he's from Indianapolis. He's like this amazing talent who has a lot of experience in wrestling. And when he came over not just for a day or two. He actually came for like a week, and he did a couple of wrestling trainings with our guys and all this stuff. Like, his input was like most valuable this year, just because other guys were great as well, but they didn't do any like trainings. They just shared their experience inside the ring. And Jake Oman, he was there for the guys a couple of days, and yeah, it was really great. And we were talking internally about bringing Jake again, because I mean, it would be awesome. We also talked about bringing in Tom Fulton, not just to wrestle, but maybe to train as well. So yeah, I would say Ukrainian wrestling is definitely like on the rise right now, despite all of the things that are going for it. But I guess, like, in hard times, it brings like the strongest sides out of people. So I guess that's what's happening right now in Ukraine. Like, despite everything that's going on, like, the guys are like, okay, we're gonna put everything on the line. We're gonna do like the best show that we can. And they are just like improving show after show after show.
Well, that is definitely great to hear. And, interestingly enough, a while back, Jake Oman and I had a couple of conversations about getting him on the show. And at the time, we just could never quite settle on a date. But this reminds me, I need to circle back with him and work on trying to get him on, because I would love to hear about his experience, traveling to Ukraine and all of that. So thank you for putting him back on my radar.
Yeah. I absolutely love Jake. I haven't met him in person yet. I hopefully will do this year, because he's always around in Europe. He comes here every couple of months. And I'm kind of like, talking with him online. I was like, okay, man, when you will be here or here, so maybe I can make a trip there just to meet him, and train
Right.
even better would be, yeah. So yeah, he's definitely a great guy that should be on more of people's radars, and he's also very busy. Like if he's not
Oh, yeah.
wrestling somewhere in the United States, he's either somewhere in Europe or I believe he visited his 45th country recently, which is like
Wow.
insane. Some people don't leave their home state, and this guy, he is visiting countries like it's nothing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, we are mostly, this is a question I probably asked you the last time, but with this type of question, answers can change. So I'm going to ask it again. We're obviously mostly a wrestling related show, but we do dabble a little bit into popular culture and that kind of thing. And I'm always looking for recommendations. So are you by any chance watching or listening to anything cool right now?
Lately we've been watching with my wife TV show Mad Men, and we actually
Mad
finished
Men?
that. Yeah. It was a really cool show that I loved a lot. Like it's actually some stuff that they talk there. Like I would say it really can even help wrestlers, because it's basically a show about advertisement.
Mhm.
Sorry for my weird pronunciation there. Yeah. So this is a show about advertisement, and they just they show how it works and all this stuff, and you can really pick up things from there that you can utilize in real life. And after we finished Mad Men, we actually started watching Desperate Housewives.
Nice, nice. So, looking at the wrestling business as a whole, over the last year, what do you feel has been the biggest moment in the business as a whole?
Hmm. To be honest, I'm not sure. Like I feel probably like the biggest moment is just how other promotions other than WWE are like getting more eyes on it. Like New Japan just continues to grow in the eyes of international audiences. Like there are more eyes on AEW than before, and like uh, just it's just cool to see that people are kind of like shifting, that wrestling is not just about WWE, but it's about all these different things. Like especially like for me lately, for last couple of months, I was watching a lot of lucha libre, and just seeing CMLL working with AEW for me was like really cool, because people find out about this world of lucha libre, that it's not just masks and flips. It's so much more. And I've been a big fan of lucha libre for a long time, and I always had like my periods where I would just watch a lot of it. And for these past few months, I've been like watching it a lot, and I believe that just based on my bias, I would say Bandido having like the run of his life, like having all these tag titles, his ROH World
Mm-hmm.
Championship. I just love seeing his stuff, especially like his matches with Hechicero. Hechicero, it was amazing. Like I feel like it, it's really cool for me to see people appreciate luchadors more and more.
I agree completely. And, something, a rumor I've been hearing going around is, with WWE's recent acquisition of AAA, I've heard rumors that they are talking with Netflix about potentially doing some kind of a revival of Lucha Underground,
Ooh,
which
that's cool.
which if they did that right, that could be amazing. Because I mean, Lucha Underground was so far ahead of its time.
Oh
With
yeah.
the way they presented wrestling, and really built these intricate storylines and really built a universe all their own. If they could do it right and do it well, a revival of Lucha Underground could just be amazing. So
yeah, this like idea of like doing combining wrestling with more like a TV presentation in terms of like TV drama. Do you remember back in 2002, I think, on MTV they had show Wrestling Society X?
I do. Interestingly enough, I've been doing a bit of collaboration recently with an indie wrestler here in Georgia by the name of Stephen Colosi. And he and I have been doing some reaction type videos. And we're actually going to be recording one soon where we're going to watch and react to a couple of episodes of Wrestling Society X. Because in many ways, without Wrestling Society X, there wouldn't have been a Lucha Underground. That was another really groundbreaking show. Unfortunately, it didn't last very long. But
it
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they had like this short like pilot season basically that just got canceled. And I remember seeing it as a kid. I was like, my mind was like just blown. I was like, oh my God. Like it was so cool.
Yeah, and I believe I have not seen all of the episodes, but I've heard that later on in the series you get to see a young and pre-WWE Seth Rollins back when he was Tyler Black. I believe he's in Wrestling Society X.
Yeah, he was there with Jimmy Jacobs when they did like this Age of the Fall, something like that in ROH. Yeah, it was around that time. Yeah, and they had a lot of like really cool guys like that. They had like Vampiro, which in his prime was really cool. They had Jack Evans. They had B-Boy, which is amazing talent. They had I forgot what his name was. Oh my God! But yeah, I mean the talent was like really awesome back then.
Yeah, and they were doing some unique and really kind of funny things. Like I saw the clip where they had like the tank supposedly full of piranha, and they did like a piranha match or something. I mean, it was
I remember one of the things that happened is Vampiro gave someone his nail in the coffin into the coffin, and things exploded like around them. It was just so like over the top.
Yeah. And I mean, stuff like that, is a lot of fun as long as you're not completely relying on that stuff to tell a story. It definitely has its place, but you don't want it to be just one wacky thing after another. Then, you kind of lose some of the impact. But
I agree.
Man.
Like back in Wrestling Society X, it was more about like, let's do explosions, blah 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 blah. And because the episodes were like 20 minutes, they just tried to jam everything. With Lucha Underground, I believe the episodes were like 1 hour, even or maybe longer sometimes. So yeah, they definitely had some time. Okay, we will show like wrestling and we will show drama. Like it will be all like they really like found good formula with that show.
Gotcha. So over the past year, in your opinion, who and like I said, I'm limiting it to this year. Over the past year, who has been the best male and best female wrestler in the world? Who's been the best man and who's been the best woman, in your opinion?
Okay, let's see. Well, I kind of want to say Bandido again, just because I love the guy so much. But actually, because I already gave him some flowers, I'm gonna re-mention Hechicero, just because he's even more traditional Lucha Libre guy. Like he's definitely like more classic in his presentation and stuff. And I just loved everything he does. and I think he had a really good year. But I think this year he's gonna probably do even better. And for the females, I feel like Rhea Ripley is like just an amazing talent, like, no matter like man or woman. But just to give like more flowers to someone else, I would say I really enjoyed stuff that Liv Morgan does this year. Like, because not to say that she wasn't like good before or anything, obviously she was, otherwise she wouldn't be in WWE. But I think like over the last year she kinda like she kind of like reinvented herself. She became like even better. And just for me, like just seeing this transformation, and that like this shift like from just a good girl wrestler to like a great performer was
Yep.
what I really like appreciate about her work in the last year.
Absolutely. And, something that I will say, over this past year, reflecting back on Bandito, man, that tag team run that he had with Brody King, that was a tag team that when they first put them together, I was like, this makes zero sense, but they gelled together so well that they became one of my favorite tag teams, because it was just so unexpected and such a lot of fun to watch Bandito and this huge hulking Brody King actually gel together and really become a great tag team. I did not expect it, but they were amazing together.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, like I think like most of the people were like, why are they like together, but then they just like went through the roof, and everyone loves them because no one expected them to just be so good together, which is I
Right.
believe is like magic of wrestling. Sometimes you put like things that are seemingly like incompatible, but you just get something like really great out of it.
Gotcha. So, actually, looking at the chat over on YouTube, we actually have a question that I'm going to put up on the screen here from Super Cute Project. Is there anything that would stop you from wrestling for a certain promotion?
Ooh, that's a loaded question, It's like a question, let's sprinkle in some controversy. Um, I think, uh, like, if you know the guy in Florida, his name is Chasing Rance, and I would never wrestle for a guy like that for sure. Or just like if I found out that someone is booking Chasing on the same show as me, I would definitely like pull out from the show, because I just don't want to be like with a registered sex offender on the same show. Like
Yeah.
I'm all for second chances, but there are things that don't probably like deserve a second chance, to be honest. Like, so that for me would be like a big thing. Like I wouldn't want to be associated with like a guy like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So looking over at the Instagram chat, Forrest Nystrom has shown up, and he says he says it's my favorite Ukrainian, Jakey Poo.
Yeah, I love Forrest. He's such a fun guy. I always like joke that he needs like to come to Spain, and I will beat the living crap out of him, just because he's like he's like the best jobber of modern times, I would say. But like in a good
Yeah.
sense. Like
Oh, for sure.
he sells great, and he is indestructible. Like I don't know if you brought it up when he was on your show, but there's a clip of him getting border toss from inside the ring to the outside, and he just lands on his head. It's like the craziest clip like that I ever saw, and and yeah, I always tell him like if he is gonna keep running his mouth, I'm gonna do it again to him.
Gotcha. And I think he liked your comment about being the best jobber.
Well, of course he is, because he knows it's true.
And we've also got another previous guest, actually a guy from the UK, Big Deal Dante, and he was actually mentioning, talking about all of the great tag teams right now. He was mentioning Fraxium, Nathan
Oh,
Frazier and Axiom. Man, those guys are just on fire right now.
yeah, and the Axiom, he is the guy from Madrid. He
Yeah.
used to wrestle like in the school that I told earlier, where the training is like really great and stuff. That's where the Axiom comes from. And yeah, I would definitely love to see the guy sometimes in person, but he's always like, on the road with WWE. And I have like a soft spot for masked wrestlers, especially after me just like gushing over Lucha Libre for the whole show. Yeah, I would say he's really great, and Nathan Fraser is amazing. Like, I haven't seen him before WWE, but from when I saw them together, I was like, oh my god, this is great. I can't do high fly for the life of me, but I always like appreciate guys who can do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's been interesting in my in the 40 years I've been following wrestling. It's been interesting watching the business evolve, because when I was a kid, growing up in the territory days, it was very much a ground and mat based art, and then a lot of the lucha libre influence started to come in. The wrestlers started, smaller, really athletic guys started to be able to make it into the business, and I mean now, it's a much for the most part, it's a much more mobile, much more high flying, fast. Not that it wasn't exciting back then, but I mean the excitement level is just at a different place than it was. So it's just been really interesting watching all of that, and I feel like the influence of lucha libre had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I actually recently read like a small book by Mike Quackenbush about the history of pro wrestling, and he definitely one of the chapters he goes into like the high flying stuff and the smaller guys, and it's definitely like both lucha libre and Japan, like because it all started basically with like guys like Satoru Sayama and Dynamite Kid in the 80s, like Sayama, who went to wrestle for European promotions in Britain. He also went to Mexico, and then he's like trainees, guys like Ultimo Dragon and all these guys, like they just started like just getting the plank higher and higher and higher. But yeah, that's
Absolutely.
definitely like something really cool. And not so long ago, we were like talking with the guys from Ukraine, just talking about all kinds of stuff, and one of them asked me like why I'm never like doing any stuff from the top rope, and I'm like, because I'm scared. It's like it's too high for me there. So whenever someone does from the top rope, it's like a lot of respect, because I'm the most, and like the highest I usually get is like the second rope, not more. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like I'm always like just amazed how some people can do stuff like that. And there's actually a really cool guy in here in Cadiz. His name is Blaze. He is like one of the probably best pure high flyers here in Spain. He also wrestles in the mask, so that's another bonus point for me. But he's a really like nice young guy, and he does, as his finish, he does 450. And on the last show that we were together, they did like running C4. It was just crazy. Like he's definitely awesome. And one of my boys back in Ukraine, he also tries to do like high flying. because he used to do parkour, and his name is Vitrolom. And I actually, when he started doing like standing moonsault, I like called him and I said, hey man, you know, like your standing moonsault is great, but it doesn't have like enough like theatrics. You know, like you just like bust it out and just do it. I think like you need to like add some stuff like to make it like more, you know, interesting, like you know, like do something like before you do the move. And I actually pointed him to Blaze and I showed him how Blaze does his stuff, some of his stuff, especially standing moonsault. And I said, yeah, that's what you need to do. Like that's what you need to copy. Maybe like not copy, but just do it, do your own spin on it. But like you need to add something like that. And you know, as soon as he kind of like fixed that, the reaction of the people became even better, just because it adds so much more. These like additional 5 seconds of just doing like a small pose and kind of like showing that you're gonna do something like that, it just adds so much during the match for you.
Absolutely. And Big Deal Dante actually posed a question over in the Instagram chat, and that is, and this can be past or present, but if you could have a dream tag team partner, who would be your dream partner to be in a tag team with?
Okay, this is a cool question, and I would say I have a couple of candidates, if you don't mind me.
How about it? Yeah.
One of my first go-tos would be Bruiser Brody, just because I love his stuff in the ring that he does. Like I love his character work, and that would be like really cool to be like this tag team of monster heels in Japan. And yeah, it would be like amazing. And not far from him is Terry Gordy, who is also like another amazing guy from like the old times. That would be like really cool to have a tag team with. And if I could try and replicate my you know, the Brodido phenomena, I would love to have a tag team with Jushin Liger, just because Jushin Liger is like one of my most favorite masked wrestlers of all time. I just love the design of the mask, and maybe like, and I would love to pay some kind of tribute one day to him.
Yeah. Somebody else that I could see you having an old school tag team with would be Stan Hansen.
Ooh, yeah, that would be awesome as well.
Or even Vader.
Oh yeah. Like be like Bum Bum Jr. and Vader.
Yeah. You know, the thing that always impressed me about Vader, and he was one of the first big men to move like a much smaller man. I mean, you know, he was an enormous man, but he moved like a cruiserweight. And you know, I always used to wonder, how is he doing the things that he's doing at his size? I mean, he was just physically very gifted.
Yeah. I don't know like much about American football, but I guess that's what he did before wrestling. And I wouldn't want to be I wouldn't want to be a cross Vader on the field.
No.
You know?
No,
it would probably be like trying to run through a car, basically, because the guy was just enormously huge.
Yeah, and you know, now we're seeing, you know, we're actually seeing a lot of bigger men that are able to move in these ways that you don't expect. Like, you know, for instance, right now in WWE, we've got Bronson Reed, who was Jonah on the Indies. And he's another very large man, but he moves like somebody, you know, half his size. And it's just really incredible watching him and watching him grow, this faction that he's in right now with Paul Heyman, and I feel like that faction has been so good for Bronson Reed, for Braun Breaker, for even for Logan Paul. I mean, they've all come a long way by being able to kind of sit under the learning tree of Heyman and Seth Rollins, and so I think that particular faction is having a really big impact right now.
Yeah, and it's also like kind of like a faction where all the people are like so different from each other from like the
Right.
first look that you never think that they could work well together, but they actually do, which is also
Yeah.
like really cool to see. And yeah, I agree that it's been really huge for Braun and for Jonah. And Braun Breaker is like he's amazing. I'm looking
Oh, yeah.
forward to like his eventual like title reign with the main belt,
Oh,
like because he's
yeah.
like so cool. And I actually heard it in one, like I was scrolling through either TikTok or Instagram, and I saw guys like discussing like about Braun Breaker. And to be honest, I agree. Like his name is kind of fun, but I wish he would be Rex Steiner. It's just
Yeah. I mean,
it's like such a cool name.
It is. But at the same time, though, I kind of respect him not wanting to cash in on his family's name and kind of do his own thing. But yeah, I think eventually we may see a name change, and he will actually go to being a Steiner. And I've actually heard that Scott Steiner's son Brock is being groomed to potentially go into wrestling after he's done with college. So I could see eventually a new Steiner's tag team, which would
They're gonna be the new Samoans, like all
yeah.
the faction of Steiners. That would be like this so like because they all like such a great athletes. Like both Rick and Scott, they were like these freaks of nature.
Oh, for
And from what
sure.
I saw, like the pictures of all their kids are freaks of nature, and we can
Yeah.
see it with Braun right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking over at the Instagram chat, Big Deal Dante responded and said that he is a big fan of Tiger Mask, another old school name.
Yeah. Tiger Mask is like also I have a huge respect for the man for the Satoru Sayama and for his like subsequent Tiger Masks who had this thing. Like yeah, it's also like a classic. And I actually not so long ago I read a little bit of the original manga because unfortunately not all of it is translated to English, but whatever it is, I read it and it's really cool. And I want to watch the anime one day. Like I believe they translated either most of it or even all of it in English. So that would be also cool to watch because from the clips that I saw, it's really fun. So yeah, Tiger Mask is also like a big like name and a lot of respect to the Tiger Mask. And actually, the promoter of CTW, his name is Red Eagle. He also wrestles, I think, for like 15 years or more. He's also like a very like talented guy who's been around for quite some time, and he actually works a lot in Japan. And I remember at the show that we were together, he had this mask that's like half his mask, his original design, and the other half is tiger mask. And I'm like, hey, this is like a tribute, or what's the story behind like doing this? And he said that he worked with relatives of Dynamite Kid, I believe, and that was like his kind of way to just to show tribute to Tiger Mask. And because of the Dynamite Kid connection, the half mask is Tiger Mask, because it's like his biggest opponent. And their matches back then, they were just amazing.
Oh, for sure. So, we're gonna do something now that we did last time, and we've done this in every episode, and it's always just been kind of fun. And it's a segment where the previous guest gets to ask a question for the next guest. So last night I actually had a wrestler on the show by the name of Dallas Dash. He's from Virginia, but he actually just recently moved and is now actually based here in Atlanta. But the question that and I was telling him that you were coming on, and the question that he asked is if you could choose any country to do a show in, which country would you choose and why?
Like, uh, would I like promote the show in this
No,
country or
what country would
work?
you like to wrestle in?
Okay, yeah. I mean, I would love to wrestle. I think, okay, so my real like the moment I would feel like it was all worth it if when I wrestle in Japan, I really want to wrestle there, and it would be like such an honor to do so. But I would say like out of like some countries that are not like well known, um I would like to go somewhere like I don't know, like Norway or Hungary, just because it's like fun to see the wrestling scene somewhere there, or maybe like in Canada, like some remote place in Canada would be kind of fun. A place where you can't just fly, you need to fly and then you need to drive a couple of days just to get there. A
Right.
place where they don't have like water or something like that. It's just gonna be like fun, even though like I'm not like outdoors man. I like nature, but as long as I can return back to my home. But it's just something about like going to a weird place and wrestling in a weird place just speaks to me.
Gotcha. So, I'm out of curiosity. Um, do you know if there really isn't much of an indie scene in Hungary or Norway or any of those places? Do you know if there's a lot going on?
Well, I mean, there's a wrestling promotion in Hungary for sure. There were like a couple of guys from Hungary that wrestle regularly in Germany in WXW by the name of Ikros and Dover, and they had their own school and wrestling promotion there. So that would definitely, and I think the either current or former WXW heavyweight champion is Peter Tihani, who is also one of the students of Ikaros and Dover from Hungary. So yeah, they definitely have a wrestling scene there. And in some place like Norway, I'm sure there is. Like there is a wrestling promotion in Iceland that's called Iceland Combat Theater or something like that, and it's the guys there. I believe they never had like a lot of like people from outside coming in, but they actually gonna bring Mike Quackenbush for training soon.
Oh, cool.
And one of the coolest things about them is that they have like the smallest ring I ever saw. I believe it's like, I don't know, like you just need to look them up. It's Iceland Combat Theater, and it is the smallest ring I ever saw. And just it would be just so funny to try and wrestle in a ring like that.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I'm gonna have to look them up. Because I'm right now, as things currently stand, I've had guests from 24 states here in the U.S. and 6 countries, and I'm trying to add to that total over this next year. So I'm actually interested in trying to get wrestlers or promoters or whatever from as many different countries as possible. Yeah, I'll definitely look up Icelandic Combat Theater. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I can definitely like recommend you all kinds of guys from like around here that
Please
I
do.
either know personally or that I know like just online, who would be cool, to see on the show.
Oh, for sure. So, since this is part of a series, do you have a question that you would like to ask to the next person in the hot seat?
Do you know who's the next person going to be?
Yeah, actually, let me put something up on the screen here.
Mhm.
Tomorrow, the 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern, I've actually got a wrestler from out in on the West Coast in the state of Oregon. Her name's Naomi King. She's fairly new to the business, but she has become very popular on the West Coast scene and is really making a big splash over there. So,
Nice.
it doesn't, the question doesn't have to be particular to her, but if you have a question that you'd like to ask, I'd love to hear it.
Well, I didn't prepare anything in advance, but let's say, like, what would be her like dream opponent out of all the females in history? I know it's kind of generic. Sorry.
Nothing wrong with that. No. Yeah, I will definitely ask that of her. And so, coming up, do you have any upcoming shows or anything at all that you'd like to give some hype to?
Yes, I do. I am going to wrestle in 2 weeks, I believe. It's gonna be January 30th. It's going to be for the company called NTWE. It's Nuevo Talentos de Wrestling or something like that, but don't quote me on that. They are a great company down here in south of Spain. They are based out of Jerez de la Frontera, and the show is going to be in Chiclana, which is a city nearby. Um, it's gonna be a cool show. I'm wrestling in the tournament for their secondary belt called NTWE Gades Championship, which Gades is, I believe, it's Cadiz. It's like an old name for Cadiz, so it's basically like a local belt, and it's gonna be the semifinals. And I'm wrestling a guy by the name of Mr. Tinder, Jalen Ryan. And yeah, it's probably gonna be a great match. I'm sure it's going to be because Jalen is like a cool talent that I'm looking forward to having a singles match with. We worked briefly in last year. It wasn't a tag team match, but this year, this show, we're wrestling one on one. Yeah, that's one of the shows that I'm having soon. I don't really have any much lined up later. I'm hoping to, add more to my calendar this year. But yeah, NTWE is like one of the companies that I wrestle. You can say I wrestle for them regularly, more than for other companies here. Um, and I always say it's like wrestling. It's like visiting an extended family. Everyone in the locker room there is like so welcoming, and they are like all the cool guys. They were actually like last year when I was just planning to start out. They were the first place where I went to train after so much time, and then after training with them, they booked me. But they actually the first person who booked me, they were from Andalusia Wrestling. They are based in Seville, but they booked me based on me going to NTWE, and then NTWE also booked me, and I've been wrestling on every show that they had last year.
Nice, nice. So, we're pretty much at the end of things now. So, I mean, do you have anything you would like to say to the audience before we wrap everything up?
Yeah, first of all, I would say definitely go and support your local wrestling. For me, in any kind of entertainment, I usually prefer going to like these smaller shows, because like even if I go like to the concert, I just love, seeing the band much closer. So I would go like to a smaller venue. Like when it comes to wrestling, I definitely enjoyed wrestling shows that are much smaller, because the privilege of these shows is like you are not far from the participants. So, and they always try to involve people around you, and it just feels much, you just feel like you're part of the show more than when you sit in like a big arena. So definitely, like, I would love more people, supporting local wrestling. And in person, it is always much cooler to see it than just online. So even if you need to drive somewhere, why not do it, just go out of your way. And yeah, I just also wanted to thank my wife for supporting me this year, which she did like a lot of stuff for me behind the scene. I always like appreciate her, but just wanted to shout out it. I also wanted to just thank everyone that I worked with this past year in wrestling. It was really cool, and I hope to work more this year. Yeah, just really, I just really appreciate all the opportunities that come my way. And every time like I'm on a show, I'm like treating it like it's something really special, because it is, for me it is. So
Absolutely. Well, for those of you that have been watching this live, thank you. For those of you that'll be seeing this on replays and such, thank you for that. Definitely, if you like what we've got going here, go to our socials and do the old like, comment, share, and subscribe. And until tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern with Naomi King, be good to each other. Love